we could go ahead and start going into some of these issues as far as why Ohio State has had problems landing some recruits here recently. And, a lot of it is, quite frankly, because Ohio State is doing really stupid things with their NIL.
I disagree.
So today,
I disagree.
You disagree?
Oh,
You disagree.
Look,
okay, hold on. Let me set things up, and then I want to hear what your thoughts are. So, for those who don't know, the House settlement is going to be officially starting with all of their new stuff tomorrow. July 1st is when all of that goes into effect. So that's when Ohio State and every other college in America has to start paying their athletes directly through their they just have to pay the kids directly. All of the NIL funds go to their own clearinghouse that they've set up. So that means that up until this point, Ohio State and every other college is able to still use NIL collectives from outside the university to help fund recruits, the current roster, any NIL contributions. And that's what all the other schools in the country have done. Mm-hmm. They've all front-loaded NIL deals to make sure that they can land some of these top-edge recruits. And you know who hasn't? Ohio State. And so that's why you all of a sudden lose a late bidding war for a Luke Waffle. You lose a late bidding war here for Landon Barnes. Players like this, for Tyler Atkinson, guys like this who are solid recruits, they aren't getting because Ohio State decided to start playing by the rules too early. And it's not like it's not like front loading those deals are against the rules either, because those rules aren't in effect until tomorrow. So Ohio State basically wasn't using their money in a smart way, in my opinion. You seem to disagree.
I think Ohio State, and by the way, who came up with the name of the show today? I did. Trust the process. Now, and just so you guys know, I know that it has a bad connotation with it because it maybe makes you think of the Philadelphia 76ers, but we are not that.
Philly hasn't gotten past the second round of the NBA playoffs, so let's chill with that.
Well, I'm a Pistons fan. I'm not going to talk about it. I can't really talk about it. But since NIL has been a thing in college football, Ohio State has gone about it the right way. They've done it, and they've done it better than I would say 99.5% of the rest of college football. Ohio State, I believe, is the best run program in college football from top to bottom. Now, yes, you're correct. People are front loading. Ross Bjork talked about it. And I think that there's a chance that this could be in Ohio State's favor. For a long time, Ohio State has gotten recruits very, very early in the cycle. And we have seen it. We have seen a lot of these top-end recruits pan out, like dip off at the end. I think right now what Ohio State, and I'm speculating right now, of course. I think right now what Ohio State is doing is that they see what's coming down the pipeline. They have consolidated, like everyone kept saying, they want the foundation to come back. Hey, guys, listen to me right now, okay? Front and center. The foundation can't come back because they can't. That's being abolished in college football because they're seen as donors, and donors can't be involved with recruiting. So when we know things like that and you consolidate everything, that's smart on Ohio State's behalf. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I think Ohio State was the first to do that before everyone else was. So then when I look at that and I see what other teams are doing, like a Miami, like a Texas A&M, like a it looks like
USC.
USC, bro. I think Ohio State.
Almost every other program.
Yeah, almost every other program. I think Ohio, and we're still the 5th ranked class right now. I think Ohio State is waiting for these rules to get set, and as soon as they do, instead of being everyone thinks Ohio State is being reactive right now. I promise you, I think they're being proactive right now. I think they're being proactive.
I could not disagree more.
Well, I understand that, but can you understand the line of thinking to where Ohio State sees what's coming down the pipeline?
I understand how you're coping with this. I can hear that.
It's not always. It's not. I believe if anyone comes up with good points that are rational, I don't think it's coping. And I'm not gonna. I haven't seen Ohio State throw a bag at anyone except for one player. I can care less. And mind you, don't forget this, Ryan. We got guys like Brandon Ennis who came out and said people offered him more money and he still said no.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the big problem that I have. Mm-hmm. So Ohio State, one of the big reasons why Ohio State President Ted Carter, who is a new president, I say new, he's only been here about a year now. One of the reasons why he hired Ross Bjork, who is a new athletic director, is because he was supposed to be a pioneer in the NIL space. Based on what they did with Texas A&M, they spent a ton of money in NIL, and that was supposed to be because Bjork understood the NIL regulations and the collectives and understood how to fundraise money and how to use that money effectively. Mm. If Bjork is such an NIL savant, then why the hell isn't he exploiting these rules when it comes to front-loading these deals here before today? But he knows that they change tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Oh,
so you know what you do? You push these funds here for June 30th, but the whole month of June. Get these players some money so you have a good enough recruiting class. And then you know what? When the rules change, then you start doing your pansy shit that you've been doing. Then you move on to that. So that's where my thought process is you know what? Good for you. You started following the rules, the future rules, earlier than everyone else. And now look where it's gotten you. You've lost a 5-star recruit, 2 4-star recruits, and another 4-star recruit who you had in your bag up until 5 hours before he committed. So that's the problem.
Again, I don't think anything you're saying is off base. I do think there's credibility in what you were saying. I just have a different line of thinking that Ohio State has been on the other end of these situations, where other teams don't front load, and maybe Ohio State has been. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I have seen plenty of times where Ohio State loses a recruit at the tail end on signing day. So even nothing you're seeing right now is different from what you've seen for the last 2 years. Nothing is different. I think. Well, no, but I understand that. I understand that. But Ross Bjork, like I saw a dumbass say fire Ross Bjork today. Like, you know what?
I probably know who it was because it's probably
time. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. So shout out, one of my favorite follows on X. She follows me also. Mama Sanchez, Miss Sanchez. She says here, so buy them. These kids need to earn it. Know your worth for sure. But these kids are not established. As for the amount after you've proven yourself at the next level, I'm just saying. Is her son not one of the best prospects Ohio State has ever gotten? Yes or no?
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
No, but I'm saying, is he not one of the best prospects?
Like I said, I don't know about ever gotten, but like in the last 5-6 years at the corner position, absolutely.
Okay. Dude, he still chose Ohio State. Like I feel like and this has been I had a huge argument with my friend Bryce about this like last year. Ohio State does not need to go out of their way to pay out the ass for these high school players. We don't have to do that. We have a proven concept. That proven concept is having the most players in the NFL. No matter what era you're talking about, no matter where you're talking about. You come to Ohio State. It is a paid internship now. Mind you, let's point some things out, everybody. There are certain rules. Like if a kid is paid over $600, it has to be disclosed in 30 days. Do you believe there's a lot of players right now that are out here getting NIL deals? It's not being disclosed right now, but when it has to be, I feel like there's certain things that a lot of people aren't looking at, and I think Ohio State is. And I refuse to believe that we have someone like Ross Bjork and have someone like Ryan Day. Ryan Day is from the Northeast Coast. He's a genius. That guy's smart. We got a rocket scientist for a defensive coordinator. This is a very smart and well-run engine at Ohio State. We are still. Are you not an Ohio State Buckeye, Ryan?
Of course I am. Got a degree on the wall.
Then what are you crying about?
Here's my problem. Everything you said, and I agree with Miss Sanchez on her tweet. I agree with that.
So they're not
My
testing.
issue. Shut up. My issue is Ohio State, like all those rules that you just mentioned, those start coming into effect tomorrow. So why not take advantage of the rules the way they are up until that point? That's what I'm saying. Go ahead. Give these kids a front-loaded deal where all of a sudden you get this cash up until, hell, give them a $600K payday right here on June 30th. Then they commit. Now, I understand why Ohio State would be not looking to do something like that, especially when it comes to nothing. Everyone can flip until signing day. Until that pen is on paper, they can flip. The problem is if you are able to get an NIL deal on the books before these rules come into effect tomorrow and they sign something, then they're locked in. Unless if they leave Ohio State, they're not seeing that money. So if Ross Bjork was as smart as he thinks he is with the NIL situation, he would be able to navigate this landscape in a better way. That's all I'm saying. Right now, they're acting like a broke-ass program, which they were, $38 million in debt as far as the athletic department was last year. So maybe they are. I don't know. My point is, why not keep using outside NIL funding from fans while it's still, while they still can? You know what I mean? That's my issue. Now, with all of that being said, that does not leave Larry Johnson off the hook for the failures he's had the last couple of days.
What percent do you give? What percent do you give Larry, and what percent do you give like our GM, the whole operation? What the percentage is like for you?
For Larry specifically, 70%, 30% for the other. But with some of the other recruits Tyler Atkinson, 5-star kid.
Yeah.
Seemed like we were able to get someone there.
So KW says we're crying because we got Kerry Wilder instead of Luke Waffle. House 247 Sports has brainwashed so many people with their recruiting rankings. So real quick, KW. Earlier in the show, I said Kerry Wilder is a dog, which I believe he is. Heck, did you see him at the
nice reps against Felix Ojo? We talked about that last week.
Did we talk about that?
Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, my God. And then also, Luke Waffle, I don't think he's that good. I don't think. No.
I think he's okay.
He's okay. He's not a bidding war player. He's not someone I'm going to. I'm not trying to outbid USC for him. He has no. He looks like. This is gonna sound so disgusting to say this. He looks like Jack Sawyer to me.
People say he's just an upgraded Jack Sawyer, which Jack was pretty damn good last year. I'll say that.
Yeah. He was pretty damn good last year. He wasn't as good as JTT last year. Nowhere near JTT's tape.
We've had this discussion.
The guy that finished on top of the Big Ten sack leaderboard. Yeah, Jack Sawyer's him. I think not.
Regardless, what you mentioned, you don't think Waffle's a guy that you get into a bidding war over?
No,
you would normally be right. You would normally be right if they had any other defensive end recruits to begin with. Like, the problem is now the board's empty. The board's essentially empty. I don't really know where they go from here. The portal is probably what they're going to try next fall. I've heard that they're going to try to flip some guys. Like, there's a kid from Washington, who's committed to Washington, who they might be looking to flip.
I think we can. I think
I'm not going to hold my breath on that.
I know, and trust me, I'm right with you. Like, I don't like having to flip.
When was the last time you remember Ohio State actually flipping a recruit? Like, who was solidly committed to another program and then flipped?
Off the top of my head,
there's one name that comes to mind for me. That was Jordan Hancock. He flipped from Clemson. That's the only guy that I can actually remember. And that's right. That was so long ago. Hancock is gone. He's in the NFL now.
And I agree with you. Like, I can't stand when people talk about, we're going to, it's flip season. I'm not a fan of that. But but right now, like I said, I'm Colonel Jessup. I'm about to call the code red. I'm almost there. At this moment in time, I do believe Ohio State has to try and flip recruits.
And this is another problem. Aaron brings up a good point. A lot of these kids are getting late offers. And that to me is why, and I'm talking specific on the defensive line. That's another reason why I place a large amount of the blame on Larry. Like, you got to identify this talent sooner. You got to be able to give these kids offers. Like, if they're not, if you give them an offer, yeah. But I mean, if you give them an offer June 15th, they're not going to commit to you. They've been recruited for 6, 8, 12 months by some of these other programs. Like, come on. They've got to do a better job than that.
And by the way, when it comes to the blame percentage, I give Larry 65%. Because at the end of the day,
so you're about with me.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're paid the big bucks for a reason, aren't you? Like, I get it, bro. Like,